maybe one thing to mention that some people are listening to this won't realise is that the pit crew, the people who make up the pit crew, that's not their primary role.
Yeah, you've got your day job.
They're all either mechanics or electricians or composites technicians. So it's not their primary job. They're not like this crack crew of people who come in to do pit stops. So yeah, in the winter time, normally you would have sort of tryouts. Basically, if there was a job you wanted to have a go at, they were normally pretty open to let people try new jobs, move around in the pit crew. So then there's obviously a lot of data analysis on the pit stop equipment, so they can break it down into every individual part basically of the pit stop. So they can quite scientifically look at it and see who was best at which job, where they were losing time, where they were making time. And then it was also quite important to try and average out the pit stop as well. So you didn't want to have one corner that was super fast and then one corner that was slow. You needed to kind of balance it out to get the fastest overall pit stop. So yeah, they would look at that mainly in the winter time. And then yeah, you basically, once you were in your role for the season, you tended to stay in that position. We did have like B crew practice. So at Mercedes, we used to get 2 races a year off. So the pit crew actually, by the time you got into race 5, people were starting to have races off. So the crew were actually switching around. So yeah, that was quite disruptive to the crew. So it was very important that we did practice other positions in the pit stop, because there was quite a bit of movement in the pit stops.
How much time are you dedicated? Because obviously, as you say, you've got your normal job, quote unquote, within the team. How much are you actually splitting between that role and then going into the pit crew? You know, is it 10%? Is it 25%? You know, and is it something that you have to, you know, you sort of show an interest, or they come to you and sort of say, you know, suddenly you get a tap on the shoulder and they say, oh, you know, actually you're in, sort of thing?
Yeah, no, I think everyone who was involved in the pit crew wanted to be involved, and like, I didn't get paid any extra money to do the wheel gun, if you know what I mean. It was something I wanted to do. It was like I enjoyed it because you made a direct impact on the result of the race, if you know what I mean. And I think everyone who was involved wanted to be involved, if you know what I mean. But yeah, you weren't getting any more money for it, and in many ways it could only go badly for you. Like, if you do well, no one thanks you. It's expected, if you know what I mean. But if it went wrong, then it was obviously, if you weren't involved in the pit stop, it would make no difference to you. So yeah, you had to sort of step up and
You're putting yourself out there, I think.
Exactly. Yeah, you had to want to be involved, and I think everyone who was involved in the pit crew was sort of the same mindset. They all wanted to be involved.
What does go through your mind as you obviously will hear the call? You're called out, right? Guys, it's time for the pit stop. Next moment to actually, you know, holding a wheel gun in your hand, changing the wheels, lifting your hand and saying, right, it's happened, sort of thing. Yeah,
so like we would always be sat in the garage watching the TV. So you had a rough idea. We'd generally have a rough idea of a stop lap on roughly when we would be pitting. Then we'd get Ron Meadows would come on the radio. He would give us the, say, red crew stand by, so you knew you were coming out into the pit lane. Everybody would get ready. The adrenaline would build a little bit. You'd sort of get a bit of the buzz, a few butterflies in your stomach. But I think again, it sort of comes back to the preparation thing. You've done all the practice beforehand. You've done the preparation. So you know that you can do the job, and you know that everyone around you they're the best person for the job that they're doing as well. So actually, when it came to the pit stop itself, you weren't thinking about that much. It was because you'd done so many practices that it was just like muscle memory almost. It was just, you just had to sort of stay calm leading up to it. You'd run out. There was always, I used to find it quite strange, because although it was like this quite an exciting high pressure thing, when you ran out to the pit box and you sort of kneeled down in the pit box, there was like probably 10 seconds of almost silence. It was quiet. You could see the car trundling down the pit lane, and it was just like, it was a strange kind of moment, that and then obviously it was this explosion of noise and pit stop, and if you just heard your gun go, you pressed the button and the car dropped, you knew it had been a good pit stop, because everyone had done it at the same time. So, and if you did that when it was like, it felt like it was just you doing the pit stop, when you pressed the button and the car went, it was like this massive, like it was a success, if you know what I mean. So it was good.
And how quickly do you analyze that? So obviously, you know in yourself kind of whether it's gone right or wrong just because of the practice.
Yeah.
Was it something immediately that you would go back into the garage and look at, or is it something that's spoken about at the end of the race?
So both, basically.
Okay.
Race mechanics are a notoriously competitive bunch. So you obviously knew whether you'd done a good stop or not, but then you generally see straight after the pit stop, at least all the gunmen would be going over to the laptop by the pit stop equipment to see what their corner time was, because they wanted to be the fastest, basically. And then, yeah, after that, there was always proper like pit stop analysis. There'd be a proper report that came out. You could look at all the different areas. You could see corner times and all the different information. But yeah, they would analyze it properly after every race, every pit stop practice as well before the weekend. They get a proper pit stop report. You try and make improvements.